everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm doing something and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to just literally show you. I've got my Kuretake paints here beside me and I've reorganized them into a different assortment here. This is the lid to an old palette, one of the Stay Wet palettes. Actually, I think it's the bottom of it, actually. I don't think it is the lid, it's the bottom. So it's a Stay Wet palette, which is meant for acrylic painting, but I don't use it for that. And I've selected some of my Art Nouveau colours and some of my ordinary Kuretake colours because I wanted a range of colours that was entirely brown and pink. So we've got browns here, dark browns here, pinks here, and just a few greens as a kind of contrast. Rather than the last few paintings I've done where I've used the traditional set from Paul Rubens, which is actually quite light on browns. So because I wanted browns for this painting, I thought I'll go with the Kuretake, even though a few people have mentioned that I shouldn't be painting with Kuretake paints. I don't know why not. Stop eating Chinese and Japanese food then. Why not? So what I'm going to do is show you a technique which I really like, which is to paint with water. So we are watercolorists, aren't we? So what I'm going to do here, I'm just painting in some leaf shapes using a size 9 round draw well brush. And I can't really see where I'm painting. I don't care. Who cares? Not me. Then I'm going to pick up some paint, and I don't really care what colour it is either. And I'm going to go for a kind of beige here for the first one, this kind of colour. And then I'm going to try to identify where my leaf was. And I'm just going to drop some paint. And if you look at it from the side a little bit, I'll get rid of these. These were ones that I'm using as kind of inspiration. If you look at it from the side a bit, you can see where it's shiny and that's where it's wet. So that's where we're going to drop in this colour. And I'm going to change the colour now, go to something a little bit darker. And if I can find the one that's up here, there must be one up here somewhere. There's one here. It's quite an exploratory. I can't see it. Where's it gone? It must be here. I'm going to bank on the fact it must be there somewhere. Yeah, it's around there somewhere. This is just a little bit of fun. And I'm going to add a darker brown as well. This isn't going to be the final painting, by the way. This is just me playing around to get started. And then I'm going to go for a little bit of something a little bit redder for the stem. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to join the leaf to the stem and watch it run down. See, isn't that good? And then I'm going to go for a dark brown, right? And I'm going to put that up here. And I'm going to encourage it in places to literally just run down the paper. And we'll leave some parts blank, so no colour. And just let the water do the work. And when you look at this, if you look at it another time, you'll see most interesting movement of colour. And you can manipulate it a little bit by turning it. And then when you've got something that you vaguely like, I might just straighten that bit out a bit there. Then you can put it down flat. I'm using my desk easel here from Meaden, which you can either use up. It's got 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 different settings. Or you can have it flat and just use it like that if you want, or you can use it like that to let it dry. So once you've got something on the page like that, you can take a scratchy thing like this, Japanese bamboo or Chinese bamboo. I think they use them for modeling in clay and stuff like that. Anyway, you can take one of these and you can put in some veins if you want, just by scratching. I haven't got any paint on here. I'm just scratching in, and then the paint will flow into the indentation that you've made with your scratchy thing. Okay, so then you can just take that down a little bit further. So you can leave it like that, and that's quite nice. And when that's dry, we'll have a look at that again when that's dry at the end. And so meanwhile, I'm going to do a bigger one using this technique of letting the paint flow onto the water, into the water. So let's find a nice big piece of paper. Here we have cold press. This is 15 by 11, it says here, 380 by 260. There's a little bit of confusion about the size of this. This actually doesn't measure 15 by 11, it measures 15 by 10. I actually got my ruler out the other day and measured it. So there's confusion on the website, but don't take any notice of anything I say or the website says. This is quite a big piece of paper, so that's quite nice. So let's put this away over here and stand this up on its lowest thingy and put that there like that. If you don't like the fact that this is in the way a bit, if you leave the cover on the paper, on the block, you'll find you've got some space there, so it's okay. And I'll just move that so you can see the whole thing. There we are. Now what you could do, you can do a design if you want. You can do a design on here if you want. Draw it in, I'm looking for washi tape. Draw it in pencil, that's the word. Or you can just go with the flow. Oh, I tell you what, somebody told me the other day that I was being evil and wasteful by using washi tape to give myself a border. It's funny what people will say. I have washi tape that I was given. I didn't buy it. I didn't ask for it. I was given it by Craftmo, actually. And I want to use it up because I hate waste. I hate having things that I don't use. Don't you? And I've got quite a lot of that at the moment, unfortunately. Anyway, someone told me off. So I'm responding to that by using masking tape. I honestly don't know what the difference is. What difference does it make what kind of tape I use? I don't have to use tape, but then I don't have to breathe. You know, it's kind of like, leave me alone. Anyway, we all have our own opinions, and that's where they belong. But don't say I don't respond to people, because I do. There we are. Now I've got a border, and it's better, actually, I have to say. I mean, it was only recently that I discovered the existence of washi tape, and I only started using it because someone gave some to me. But I've always used masking tape, the sort of masking tape that you use when you're painting the house, that kind of thing. That's what I've always used in the past, and probably will continue to do. So anyway, let's see. Oh yes, this is what we were going to do. Here we have some samplers. These are trial runs, practices of the colour, letting colours go onto the paper and letting them do their own thing. So that was the first one I did. And then I did that one, I added some circles. And then I did this one, which you can see me working on this one on Patreon if you're a member of the exclusive tier, where you get some exclusive videos as part of your membership. And that was quite nice. So anyway, that's where I started with all of that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a bigger one. And in order to do this one, I'm going to look for And hum, looking for a slightly bigger paintbrush. Let's go with this one. Isn't it handy? I've got them, you can see, I've got my drawers here with my brushes in and the bottom of this easel. Isn't that cool? A lady said that her husband had made her an easel so that she could paint more vertically to take the pressure off her neck. And that's why I've started using this, actually, because, well, my husband didn't make this. Meaden sent it to me. So if you need one and you want to buy one, they have them at a very reasonable price. And it's handy because it's got the drawers underneath. But it's true that I do spend too much of my time looking down at my paper. So what I'm going to try and do now is a little bit more of looking straight forward, right? The only snag is, of course, if I do that, I have to sit down and then I can't see everything. Oh, there's always a problem. There's always a problem. Anyway, never mind about that. I'm going to sit down anyway. And then I can't see what I'm doing on the camera because the camera's above. The camera is here, you see? And so, anyway, you don't need to know any of this. I'm now sitting down. I'll raise my chair up a little bit. And I'm going to put some circles on here. And yeah, I'm going to use these colours here, these rusty colours, some of them. But first of all, let's go for a sort of light beigey pink colour. So this is just fun. We put a sort of circle, quarter circle there, and then I might put a bit of brown in the middle. And then maybe I'll look for a sort of rusty red. What's quite nice is to do part of the circle like that, and then dip into some other colour and add another colour on the other side and let it all run. And so you can imagine these are like flowers. Okay, and let's get some nice dark brown on this one too. And go for some pink. I would say this was kind of semi-abstract, because the only thing that turns these into flowers is your mind. You could just as easily pretend that they were something else, like planets. Let's do some really light ones. Let's go for some of this light beige colour. And I'm going to put a few really light ones, quite big ones probably, but really light, same colours, but really light in the centre. And because we're going to paint all over this, all right? You will see that the paint runs down because we're on a slope, but at the same time I'm looking more forward rather than down, which is actually going to benefit me. So I've had this terrible headache for nearly 3 weeks now, and I know what it is. Don't worry, I don't think it's anything serious. It's stress from a certain amount of anxiety that has been in the family for a little while. And you know how it is when you get a stress headache and you can't get rid of it because you've kind of tightened up all the muscles that compress the veins and arteries in your brain and everything. So, and then your neck and all the rest of it. So I'm trying to meditation and Reiki and hypnosis and stuff, as well as taking the good old ibuprofen. And before anybody tells me that I shouldn't take ibuprofen, yes, I should. Okay. Right, now let's just put a little bit in the centers of these very faint flowers that we have in the background. And then I'm going to let this dry, or just so that I can speed it up a bit, I'm going to put the tumble dryer on it. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm not going to say that that's completely dry. I don't think it is. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up some more of this pale beige colour, pinky beige, and I'm going to just put some leaves, only I want them to be lighter than that, in the background, and I'm going to then later, in a minute, paint over them. This is to fill in the spaces and to give a bit of three-dimensionality. And if you do one like that and you think, oh, that's too dark, I didn't want it as dark as that, you can dab it out like that with a tissue. Don't use paper towel because that's got texture on it, unless, of course, you want a texture. And when the paint runs down and collects in a little bead like that, you can pick that up and use it somewhere. Waste not, want not. All right. So when you've kind of filled all your gaps a little bit, if you feel some of them are a little bit dark still, you can lift them out a little bit. And then we're ready to go for the next thing. I just need to check to make sure these are dry enough to paint over. I'm going to give it another whack with the What's It. Okay, so now what I feel at the moment, having thought about this quite a bit today and yesterday and the day before, is that we need a bit of contrast. And I'm going to use some brown, some nice sort of chocolate brown, first of all, and I will also use some dark green. And I'm going to just put a line. And I know we've done something similar to this before, but every time is different. So that's my line, okay, that's my first line. And as you know, I'm planning to do my leaves wet in wet. So I'm putting in some leaves, and I don't know how this is going to work really, because I haven't done this before. I haven't done it this way before. But I do like to try new things. Okay, so then let's go for that chocolate brownie colour again. And we'll just drop it in at the top of each of these leaves. And there's nothing better than watching these things do their thing. And then we can pick it up and move it around, let it flow down, if it will. It might not. I'm going to put some dark in the centres here. I'll put a bit more up the top. When I go quiet, it's usually because I'm thinking and praying. I'm thinking, I don't know, is it going to work or not? I don't know. Well, it looks okay at the moment. And you can, I'm just mixing black with dark brown. Okay. And, you know, after this is done, we can always add some pen work if we want to. So I'm going to turn this round that way, I think, for a minute, so that it can blend in a different direction. And I'm going to go for a green now, a light green, as a kind of contrast. And this one, I think I'm going to do the traditional way. Paint the leaves in first. Okay, and then we'll just add something to the tips of these. Right, that's that. And then I'm going to go for a darker green, I think. Let's mix that with some brown as well. I might put something here. If you're going to go over these circles of flowers, then you need to use something quite strong in colour. So this is what I call Forest Gump green, mixed with a sort of burnt sienna. So we do that, and then maybe up front, up here. I'm having trouble getting my brush to point at the moment. I think it's probably a bit worn. So if you will excuse me for a second, I'm going to go and get a different brush. Let's try this. I think this is a new number 10. I think it's new. That's something actually which is very worthwhile remembering. Brushes do wear out. They don't appear to have done, but they lose their ability to point nicely. And I'm just going to try this. There's also the fact that I'm painting at a slightly different angle from usual. So I think that's better. Yeah, I have to, if I'm going to paint upright like this, I have to learn how to do it. And let me see, I'm just going to make a kind of mushy mushroom colour here. That's okay. And then down here, I'm going to start painting some petals in. Like I said, this is what you could call semi-abstract. And up here, we'll put some lines like that. And let's have a nice soft green and put some leaves behind this flower here. Yeah, this brush is better. Even though the black ones, these Maestro ones, which are from Drawwell, are actually better brushes, slightly better quality, slightly more expensive than the red ones. They aren't better when they're getting worn, right? So you're better off with a new, cheaper brush than an old, expensive one. And let's go for this soft green up here again. As you can see, I'm showing you lots of different ways of constructing leaves. This is a sort of printing method like that. Not at all impressed with that particular leaf there, so I'm going to dry that and then I'm going to paint another bunch of leaves over the top of it. Okay, so I think what I want to put over here has got to be a nice deep chestnutty kind of colour. Or brown. I need something to test it on, really. Yeah, this will do. Oh yes, that'll do nicely. So let's put it's like painting with chocolate. Yeah, I was beginning to get a little bit upset with that brush because I couldn't control it at all. And I was starting to think, oh my God, my hand is incapable of doing anything all of a sudden. What? But it wasn't my hand, it was my brush. I never realized when I was first learning to paint how important the right brush was. And it was really very difficult at that time, all those years ago, to find really good brushes at a price I could afford. Now, nylon brushes are really good, but in those days, and anyone else out there who has been painting for 50 or 60 years will know what I'm talking about. I'm going to do one here too in this colour. It's like paper. You used to have to spend a fortune on paper to get decent paper, but you don't now. Okay, I think we need some more circles up here. And maybe in green. And here perhaps. Don't be afraid of going over the edge, you know. It doesn't matter when you're painting, going over the edge. It's a bit more important if you're, you know, walking along a cliff, but you can go over the edge anytime you like when you're painting. Is that wet or dry? I think that's wet. No, I meant dry. God. And if you want, you can obviously paint in some veins if you like. Having got to this point, we can consider, if you think you've really messed it up and you hate everything that you've done, you have a few options. And of the ones that do not involve using it to light a fire with, you can try adding some more embellishments. You could use pen, or you can do this, for example, add some berries if you feel you've got small gaps. And sometimes small things like this, I'm going to try to avoid the temptation of putting Chelsea buns all over my painting today. Another piece of advice that I had from a subscriber or follower or viewer. I've been getting a lot of people recently saying, would I like to invest in BitChain or I don't know what these things are that people are trying to sell me. I don't want it. Don't know what it is. So anyway, putting some berries along that one. And then I'm going to come to this one and do a few more semi-abstract petals. You can carry on with something like this for a long time. Just doing different things. You can put center in this one, for example. And you can say, oh, that looks a bit like a rose. But up here, let's turn it round. What was I looking at? Ah, here. And some dots. Berries on this one here, and then maybe some lines. And perhaps here. And if you want to tidy up your leaves, you can do that, but you know, they look quite nice the way they are, I think. You could add some darker brown to the stem in places if you want. This one's kind of got lost. Okay, well, I think that's probably enough to be going on with. Now, I could come back into it with, as I said, we could add gold, we could add white, we could do all sorts of things. But I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'll take the tape off. Okay, I hope nobody's going to punish me for wasting that tape. Push that out of the way, and then what we have to do now is find out how to remove it. I think it must be the other side. Yeah, here it is. And I've got my fish knife here. A nice flat blade that's not going to scratch. And we'll go right the way around. Okie dokie, so there we are. That is one finished relaxation exercise, which I enjoyed anyway, and I really, really like these colours. I want to put something lighter on there though. And what am I going to do that with? How can I do that? I could use the acrylic. Would that work? That's gold. I always pick up gold. I don't want gold. That's gold. Yeah, how about this? This is pink. Nope. That's not going to work. You see, life is just a bowl of cherries. Box of chocolates. It doesn't show much, but it's probably enough. And if you wanted to use your acrylics, you can do dots. I know we had enough dots in the last one to last anyone a lifetime. But you could do that. You could put dots, and you can use this for veins and things like that if you want to. So, right, enough. I shall let you go. It's 12:30, time for lunch. I have to go and heat up the soup. And yeah, well, I like the colours, don't you? Let me know what you think. And the next video we're going to do, actually, is going to be something like this. So you remember the neurographic art? This is the state of my brain at the moment, I think. That's the way it feels anyway. And we're going to have a go at doing something like this, which I think might be quite fun. It might be the next one or the one after that. So anyway, I will let you go, and I will see you again soon. Hope you enjoyed that. I did. I'll see you tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day, or the next day. She faded away into the distance. Or the next day.